Welcome to the Center of Love. I'm Ben, your host for today, and it's just wonderful seeing you all here. Hey, James, come on in. Never late. It's wonderful to see you all here at the Center of Love. As I was thinking about what this place means to me, I started thinking about how I came here in the first place. And I wonder for you, how did you end up here? Because we all have a different path that brought us here. Yet here we are, all together. And that I feel is part of the magic of this place. We came here from different ways, different paths, and yet we're all here, meeting together. Today, I'm going to try a technique that Lassia has learned in her seminary practices of just having 3 bullet points. So if it doesn't go well, we can blame her. Right? It's always good to have a scapegoat. And here are my 3 bullet points, very succinct. I'm ready to go. Thanks for that, Lassia. Really appreciate it. Yeah, no, it would have worked better if she was here.
Yeah,
she's lovely. If you haven't met her, incredible human being. So getting back to the Center of Love, I think part of what's so special about what we have here, yeah, we came here all from all of our different ways and all our different paths, and here we are, a community. And that's true irrespective of the size, or where we're headed. What we have now is a community where we can hold and support each other in good and bad times. Though when we're together, mostly good. It's really, really good.
yeah.
Right? Amazing being here with all of you. And I think part of that, as far as I understand it, is that as humans, our potential for love is so great that we're able to bring love to the world around us. And I see this in all different ways. For example, my kids, they have this ability to imbue any rock that they give me with life. Right? They see the specialness of this rock and they give it to me, and I keep it forever. And humans have done this for ages. You think about our relationship with gold or silver or shiny things. I see this beautiful rock here. Not even sure what it is, but it's a lovely thing. And some of them were even able to feel connection to. And these are ostensibly unliving things, whatever that means. I'm not sure where you draw the line between life and non-life. I'm getting too far afield. So let's go back. You can also see it, I think, in how we're related to how we find it irresistibly adorable, the babies of other animals. I mean, to be sure, it's not all animals, but it's many of them, right? Where it seems to me it wouldn't have been completely unreasonable to just be afraid of the babies of other animals. Think about a mama bear or a father deer. They don't want us around, right? But we find them irresistibly adorable. And I think at the center of that is our connection with this earth, that we are able to see them through love. And in so doing, we're able to potentially, at our best, help raise them up to a higher state, a higher frequency, a higher quality of life for well-being. And I was reminded of this the other day. I was sitting in a coffee shop waiting for an oil change. And I just closed my eyes and sat there and listened to the noise of it all. It's the comings and goings. And it sounded like a chorus of angels warming up, ready to sing. And I think ultimately that's a part of what we're doing here. We connect in love. And then we're able to bring it out into the world. Because I think that everybody has that potential. I don't know. I'm not sure that I know much of anything. To be honest, I'm not sure if anything that I just said is true or not. Take it as you will. What's interesting is I find the more I let go of certainty, actually the easier things unfold. And I practice that imperfectly, to be sure, but that's what I'm finding. And I think that part of that is because our universe is a playful place, and that to me is brought forward in a special way when thinking about our speaker, Kressa. I feel like it was feeling extraordinarily playful when I brought her into this world in human form. Because a lot of different things have happened in her life, and it was such interesting circumstances. And she's actually brought a lot of people into this community because, first of all, she's someone who marches to the beat of her own drum, and yet still approaches people with kindness. That's a path for some people where, it's just, they just do their own thing, the rest of the world be damned. But that's not the way that she is. She brings other people in, and she's a connector. And a part of that is that she's great at forming connections. And speaking more to the playfulness of it, I could have bumped into her like maybe over 100 or a few hundred times, but I didn't. Not until I was ready, which I can't even begin to understand why it unfolded that way. But when I was ready, we connected deeply and almost instantly. And I look forward to what she has to share with us today. And I would like to welcome to the pulpit, Kressa.
Thank you, Ben. That was lovely. So my talk today is about love. Love is a huge topic, and I can't even begin to do it justice. But what I'm going to share today are my reflections about love. And first, I have a quote that I'd like to share that's actually in our document that all about us. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And Candace Pert says, love is an enigma and the single most necessary component of human life. Everyone needs it, but it remains elusive to many. So I think love has been messed up for a lot of us, me particularly. Some of us have been fortunate to be in loving, caring homes, but not all of us, right? And most of that love tends to be, even with a lot of parents, tends to be conditional. You receive love if you're a good boy or a girl. Conditional love can be defined just as that, love with conditions. This means that your love for another person or their love for you is contingent on certain actions, on things going on, and it's dependent on circumstances. So if you've done something that elders are not happy with, which I'm sure many of us have experienced, many of my generation, then they would pull love away. A lot of my generation, their parents had harsh upbringings, and love was rarely demonstrated, especially in my Finnish culture. Showing affection was not common. And Finns tend to be a little bit more reserved, not this particular Finn, but most Finns are reserved. So showing emotion was not the norm. I had to do a lot of unwinding of my own background before, so I could bring something different to my parenting when I brought kids into this world. So for me personally, I was always looking for love externally, trying to be the people pleaser, trying to win others' love. In my home, it was quite often rejected. In one of my journeys, what came up for me was trying to find a place for my love to land. Having challenging relationships in a family when you are looking for external love is exhausting. Even as a young child, I felt like I had a lot of love to give and just couldn't find a place for it to land. Now I know I'm my own source of love. Love is abundant within me, and I'm not seeking it in external sources. Such a relief. Though that can still be a learning for me. There are times when I can feel rejected, but I don't drown in it anymore and just try to feel love back to the person or the situation. And I'd like to share something that I use when I'm triggered. It's called Ho'oponopono. I've shared this before here, and I think when you're triggered by anything in the external world, this is really helpful. And I can give you the words later if you like. Sorry for the erroneous thoughts that have created this, whatever the situation is. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And just that line, just doing that in your own head is powerful at diffusing whatever your reaction is to anything. So let's talk about unconditional love. Unconditional love is known as affection without any limitations, or love without conditions. This term is sometimes associated with other terms such as true altruism and complete love. It's love with no expectations. Loving someone even if they hurt you. It's love for just love's sake. Look, Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Many of us have trouble loving ourselves, so sometimes it's hard for us to love our neighbor. This type of love is like a muscle. You need to nurture it so it can grow, especially if your upbringing wasn't a role model for unconditional love. Unconditional love can be hard work. Getting up in the middle of the night for a sick child, working on a marriage when it's not easy, doing challenging things like sitting with somebody who is ill and loving them even when it's hard. It quite often takes a lot of unraveling of our own conditioning. I saw this on Facebook, which I thought was very cool. Real love or unconditional love doesn't meet you at your best. It meets you in your mess. I'm certainly very grateful that I've had many people in my life that have met me in my mess. And I try to do that to others in my sphere. So here's another way to look at love. What if we are love? Hey? What if underneath all this personality, ego, nonsense and stuff and constructs is love? What if the very essence of who we are is that? It is everywhere, not needed externally. We have a well of it inside of ourselves. When we only seek love from external sources, which can be very pleasurable, of course, but when withdrawn, what happens to us? We suffer. This has been a journey for me to experience this well of love inside for no reason. I usually experience this through deep meditation and also through experiences like my journeys that I've done with psilocybin. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, wow, I float for days. This love is similar to unconditional love, but not directed externally. It just is. Love for the sake of love. I think loving for the sake of love is a hero's journey, not easy. Birthing this kind of love takes a lot of undoing. Like the initial quote says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within you, yourself, that you have against it. Our ego constructs, as many of us know, are very complicated, right? And they make experiencing love for no reason a challenge. That doesn't mean it isn't there. And love is such a healing energy. Just think of how you felt when you fell in love. It's like you're limitless and you're expansive and also mindless. I was in a situation where I was in this new love and I flooded my whole kitchen. So I want to talk a little. Sorry, by the way, it came downstairs. The whole kitchen was full of water. So let's talk about the opposite. You see this logo everywhere, fighting cancer. A week ago, I was driving behind somebody, I saw the bumper sticker, cancer. And I thought, oh, okay. Our fight on cancer is such a misstep in our society. Fighting anything creates the opposite, right? When we are fighting anything, we are judging it as bad and creating stress and an adversarial relationship. And that's toxic energy. What if we love cancer or whatever illness it is that we have? What a different way that would be. Love heals. Love is a powerful force for good. So I want to share a little bit what happened when I was ill. Many of you know that I had a chronic illness in the early 90s. And I started creating, and it was in the bladder. It was ulcerated and bleeding, and it was very, very, very painful. And it was an immune disorder. So I was doing a lot of research and reading. So I started to create a real intimate, loving relationship with this part of myself and asking it, what do you need from me? What can I do to help you? Because it was suffering and it's part of me. So instead of creating this, oh, am I going to heal? I'm going to get rid of this, whatever it is. It's like, no, join with it. So when I went back to work after being off for quite a while, I would take my bladder out for lunch with my journal and I would write and ask questions and talk to it. I mean, most people thought it was woo-hoo and I didn't share it with too many people. They think I was absolutely nuts, right? But again, it's that loving relationship that I had with that particular part of my body that was suffering that I think created 100% wellness. Of course, it was other things. I did holistic things. I did nutrition. I did the emotional work. I did all kinds of stuff. It was definitely a holistic approach. But I really think that initial onset of having that kind of relationship with it and working with it. And when I found out what the emotional cause was behind it, that to me is a critical part of healing, was for me, it was too much responsibility. When I found that out, and with what I have created within myself, this loving, caring relationship, and it took me 2 years, but 2 years, it's totally gone, not a trace of it anymore. So I believe love is a high frequency. And can melt away whatever disease we have. Dr. Pert explains, I've read a lot of Candace Pert stuff. She has done a lot about emotions. Emotions like love are not simply chemicals in the brain. They are electrochemical signals that carry emotional messages throughout the body. These signals, a mixture of peptides, have far-reaching effects, like healing. How can anything heal in an adversarial relationship? It can't. And when you have this kind of loving environment within yourself, then of course all the cells can heal themselves. So my example is of this kind of healing. This was a long time ago, but I have a recent one I want to share that I thought was it surprised me. So I was going to Matti and Liz, who are part of this community, and I had gone for a walk with another lady in this community. And we were walking over rocks and I had twisted my ankle. And I thought, oh, that's not too bad. And I was going to their place to stay overnight. So I arrived at their place and we were having dinner and I was sitting there. I thought, uh-oh, my ankle is really aching. And so then I thought, well, I'll just let it go. So I went to bed and I got up in the middle of the night to use the washroom and went to put my foot down and shooting pains came out. And I thought, oh no, now what? I drive a standard, so I have a clutch. I need 2 feet, not just one. So I started to feel that I was going to go down that rabbit hole, right? Oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then I stopped. No, I am not going to go that route. I'm going to send this foot, love, healing, and white light. And I did that all night in intervals. And then finally, in the middle of later on, I guess 4 or something, I finally fell asleep. Gratefully, finally fell asleep because the pain was really keeping me awake. And I went into a deep sleep. I woke up in the morning, I went to get up and there was nothing wrong with my foot. Mm-hmm. Like, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. My mind changed the outcome. Wow. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? When you look at it that way, your minds are so powerful when you're focusing on love and things that you want to bring into your life that are good, then things can change dramatically. So, what if we are all made of love, and love is our home? A tender place inside us that we can go for respite from the external world, which can be very challenging at times, right? Recently, I went into a deep experience of grief. Many of you know that I lost my son last year. It felt like a dark night of the soul. During this experience, I had a deep meditation. I got a powerful message from deep within me. Know that peace and love are right behind the grief. Love the grief. And through the grief, you can once again get to peace. Peace and love are our natural state. Whenever you get the mind to quiet down all its turbulence and go to that empty place, there it is. Love and peace and well-being, all underneath there. That's very powerful. The other thing that I got also was that love is like a currency. That the more love you share within yourself and share out, then the more of that comes back. And I've really found that in my life, like things, crazy stuff shows up, like last seat on the airplane. Many times I get the last seat. There's other people still waiting, but somehow I got that last seat because I fly standby. Because I used to work for an airline. It's about allowing that love to bring us to our highest good. And love can bring everything that you need. So I want to end the talk part. We're going to do something very different today than normal. So I just want to share a couple of some quotes here. Some of them are by Rumi. If I love myself, I love you. If I love you, I love myself. The next one. Love isn't the work of the tender and the gentle. Love is the work of the wrestlers. The one who becomes a servant of lovers is really a fortunate sovereign. And the last one by Rumi. Don't ask anyone about love. Ask love about love. Love is a cloud that scatters pearls. The last quote I have that I resonated with, this one by Ram Dass. Love conquers the mind. Just like I shared that kind of experience around my ankle, love conquered my mind, which was awesome. So the more we experience, share, be with love, the more we will contribute to healing our planet and this beautiful world that we all live in.
Welcome back. Wow. What a day. My gosh. When I woke up this morning, I didn't think I would be making love with a whole room full of people. Is it good for you? That was incredible. Thank you, Kressa, for sharing that with us, and thank you everyone for showing up. And yeah, I'm not sure where the reality or the truth of this lies, but especially while we're doing that exercise, it felt like a loving place for me, and I really appreciate that from everyone. And I don't know what the conversation was like in here, but it was lovely in there, very candid and open.